everybody, and welcome to another Techegy Player Nay. Tonight's episode, we venture into a launch title for the original Xbox. Our game tonight is the infamous Shrek. So,
Woohoo!
put on your gas masks, break out your onions, and let's jump in. Hey, I do want to. Oops, I accidentally muted myself. So the
You
game
do want to mute yourself.
The game was released on November 15th, 2001 for the original Xbox. It came out in 2002 for the GameCube, but this was originally, as I mentioned, this is a launch title for the Xbox. And from my research on the game, it appears that like this was supposed to be a big game for Microsoft. So much so that Microsoft decided that they were going to sell their Xbox with this game bundled in with it. That was the selling point, was you were buying Shrek. Now, I'm sure everybody remembers Shrek was very popular at the time as a movie, and merchandise. I think even you could even argue up until now, Shrek is still pretty popular. Like everybody knows Shrek. I think you can say Shrek and just about everybody. It's like Hulk Hogan. Like even people that have never seen Shrek or people have never watched wrestling, they know who Hulk Hogan is, and vice versa. They knew who Shrek is, even if they've never seen the movies. So fun story, the game was developed in 10 months. So it took them under a year, and it was called the Lucky 10 months because people didn't think it was going to happen. It's also the first game to use deferred shading. Um, that actually was first theorized in 1988. So look how long it took from 1988 to 2001 is how long it took for deferred shading to become a thing in video games. Um, Other than that, it came to pretty bad reviews at the time. There were a lot of like 3 out of 10s, 2 out of 10s, D pluses, some 1 stars out of 5. I had found IGN, Next Generation Gaming gave it a 1 out of 5.
Wow.
Nintendo Power, which this would have been the GameCube version, gave it a 2 out of 5. That was the official Nintendo magazine at the time, and the official Xbox magazine gave it a 5 out of 10. Um, so Xbox's official magazine had this. Microsoft had this as their launch title. Well, a launch title, gave it a 5 out of 10. Um,
Yeah, but the Xbox version did get higher reviews than the GameCube on Metacritic.
it does appear that for the most part, the GameCube version did worse than the Xbox
And
version.
they had more time for it.
Yeah, I don't know if that was just like they just knew what was coming. Like, hey, we know it's bad. It's probably gonna be bad on the GameCube, or there's a lot of 3 out of 10s. I just IGN gave it a 3 out of 10 for the GameCube, but gave it a 5.6 out of 10 for the Xbox. So I don't know. I've honestly never played the GameCube
Well,
version.
maybe it has to do with neither have I, but maybe it had to do with the controls or the controller. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
possibly.
there is a problem with control. I mean, the controls aren't perfect. They're kind of wonky.
Yeah. Well, hey, since you volunteered yourself, why don't you go first,
Yeah,
MC?
yeah, I will. And I'll talk about the bad stuff first. I
Okay.
mean, the things I thought were bad about it was the controls. They were, you're trying to run down a hallway and you're bouncing off the walls because any little move kind of slams you right or left. And some of the bosses, or not bosses, but the guys you're trying to fight or get away from are faster than you. But other than that, I mean, that's the only two things I disliked about it. I did kind of like it. I liked that, you had Humpty Dumpty and you're grabbing little eggs and Humpty Dumpty's chasing you around and you're able to, kick chickens or kick the little egg guys. And, there's a nest you're supposed to put them in, but you can kick them in there, throw them in there. You can run around, you can burp, you can fart, you can burp fire, you can fart and then burp fire into your fart and explode it. And there's just like so many cool and funny things. And it's partial platformer, partial, open world run around, kind of, little open world, run around the area. So I kind of liked it. I mean, you had little Bo Peep and you had little sheep and there's little cutesy things. I mean, I think for teenage kids or younger, they'd probably really get into this just because of the humor and everything else. I mean, I thought it wasn't too bad. You know, I mean, you had witches and skeletons and all kind of different things in there, and everything did something funny, and just to be able to run around and fart and burp as much as you want, that was kind of funny. So, but anyway,
So basically, it has our kind of humor.
it has kind of, yeah, it kind of has our kind of humor, and even the credits at the end, they say some funny things from all the characters. What they say, they kind of throw in the credits, which was kind of funny and cool. So, I just thought it was a cool game. I mean, it isn't, an excellent game, but I thought it was at least, a fair game. It was. I didn't think it was that bad. So, so I'm okay with it. So, M2, what do you think?
So I played it on the supposedly better GameCube version of it, because the only thing they changed was the cover, and they made the controls better. They are not better. But I have played the Xbox version. It's been quite a while. This is a game I remember playing as a child, because I was 3 when it came out, and I remembered playing it at my grandma's house because they had an Xbox and Shrek was the game that I always went to. And the reason why is no other game allows you to pick up something and drop kick it the way the Shrek game lets you do. And it goes like, oh, when you kick someone. And it's hilarious. I mean, I remember this is very nostalgic for me, because I remember as a child, there's a level where you're trying to put sheep inside a pen, and there's a wolf that keeps going, my football, and then runs and takes the sheep out and like throws it out of the pen. So you have to beat him up while putting the sheep in the pen. And
Well,
I
Mike,
remember doing that for hours.
Mike, did you notice when Humpty Dumpty, if you kicked or hit him, you could hear the egg crack?
Yes,
I mean, it's little things like that make you laugh.
Yeah, it's one of those games that is the game great? No.
No.
Right. It's not a great game. Is the game fun? Yeah, it's fun. Is it gonna make you laugh? Yes, there will be something in that game that's gonna make you laugh. And so if you can get it, I think it's worth playing. I played it in front of an audience essentially, and I can tell you that when everyone else is working hard on something and you hear Shrek burping, and I mean, Shrek brings people together. There's no other way to put it. So I'm kind of in the same camp as you, or like Shrek.
Yeah.
So 2 thumbs up. Wow. Could this be the thing? So, I bought my Xbox One. It was a launch Xbox. I stood in line at a Walmart in the middle of nowhere, South Carolina, to get it. Bought several titles with it. One of them was NHL Hits 2002, and the other was Shrek. Other than the first party titles, like your Halo and some of the other ones. So these are ones that I literally, bought other than the ones Microsoft themselves made. And M2, he was 3 years old when we got this thing, and we had, if you want to see a child laugh, just all you have to do is listen to just at the menus, it's burping already. And if a 3-year-old can find that funny, I can tell you juvenile people in their 50s can find it funny as well. And I forgot about that when I went back and I replayed it for this. I thought that was the funniest thing. Again, I was like, yeah, I remember that. I should remember Michael laughing his ass off when it happened. I mean, it has gas. I mean, onions. I didn't know onions can give you gas, but it does with your Shrek. It gives him his bad breath. You got the burp flames if you ate the chili. The book stuff, when the presentation on the book stuff, I thought was really good for the time of the game. They tried to, they took the Shrek movies and they said, you know what, we don't have enough material here for a game, or they didn't want to do license. I don't know what it was, but they tried to put as much nursery rhymes in there. It's hit and miss. I mean, there's things they tried to do with Humpty Dumpty or Little Bo Peep. Some of that stuff, you're like, boy, they really shoehorned this in here. But the way I looked at the game when I first got it, And this right here actually reminded me a lot of the Spyro games. It was like they took Spyro and put Shrek into it. I thought the voice acting was actually pretty good. I mean, obviously, I don't think Mike Myers did the voice acting on it. I'm almost positive he did not. We'd have to go look, but I would be shocked if for the budget if they actually had him do it. It's again, I come back to, I didn't think it was that bad of a game when it was getting all the bad reviews if you compared it to being the Spyro for a brand new system. Because there was no other games like it at that time. So I mean, I definitely give it a thumbs up. I playing with my son, back in the day, it was a lot of fun. It wasn't the only bad thing about it wasn't a 2-player game, but that is what it is. But it was just, I thought it was actually a pretty good game. The controls, yeah, they're not great. I mean, I never thought Spyros were that great.
Well, back in that era, Mike, I think controls weren't that good in any game. They were all.
Well, remember too, back in that day, you were using that big ass Duke controller for the Xbox, which, that's a miss for Microsoft. That controller, I've got one of them just as a prop. I didn't like it. I mean, I've got big hands, but I didn't. I personally thought it was a poor design, and when they came out with the S controller, it was better. But that game with those controls and that controller was, I can see why maybe people were a little soured. And I never liked the GameCube controller. I always found it was kind of wonky anyway, so I could see why that may be getting worse reviews. But I think the game was a fun game. I think Michael and I actually completed it back in the day.
And I was going to say the other thing with the controls is it kind of is from that generation where they didn't have customizable controls.
True.
I think that if this game had customizable controls, that would help a lot, because I know the looking is inverted based compared to what, or at least it was on GameCube, and so it just didn't feel good to play.
Yeah, and the field of view, isn't as wide as newer games, so that hinders it a little too.
So I'll give it a thumbs up, and we'll see what JC has to say about it, because he has his physical copy there in front of him.
I do have my physical copy here in front of me, and I had not looked at the manual for it until right this second, and this is the first time we're going to talk about the manual on a Player Nay, but this is an impressive manual. It has the entire story in it. It has a description of the training grounds, a description of the entire world map. All of the levels are in here described. I mean, obviously you don't see these to begin with,
Right.
but even on some of these, like if I pull out some other booklets from other games, they're not as in-depth as this is. I mean, this gives you full descriptions of every single level in the game. And there's a cheat code area in the book here.
Could have used that.
Describes describes everything: belching, flammable gas, Shrek's heart. The cheat menus in here. There's a hints and tips. And then I thought the credits was interesting. So no, Michael Myers was not the voice actor for Shrek, and none of the.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, the budget wouldn't have been there. But the first special thanks they give in the credits here is the 10 lucky months that they took the program.
That's amazing,
Yeah, and then followed by all of our tolerant and understanding family and friends. Yeah, so then I think they should have snuck Techegy podcast into the special thanks.
You could write it in there and make it work.
So actually, the next page is a notes page, so I could put credits continued and add Techegy podcast in there. Unfortunately, the website on the back, shrekgames.com, does not work anymore. I just tried to go to the website. So I don't know. It's an impressive manual, and it's not, especially we're in an era where there are no manuals anymore. Everything's in game. It's fun to look back at what used to be, and I know there are better manuals than this. I think my favorite manual was the Super Mario World manual for the Super Nintendo, because it had all the artwork, like character artwork and stuff in it. I always remember that from when I was a kid. Anyways, so I'm gonna talk about what I didn't like first about the game, and then I'll talk about what I did like. So there's a level where you're in the sewers, and there's a wall jumping mechanic, and you have to like jump back and forth onto a couple pipes, onto a couple platforms throughout the level. Garbage, horrible. I almost stopped playing right there. That's I think the sewer level you start focusing like halfway through the game maybe on it. So about halfway through the game is when I almost quit. Did anyone else have issues? So speaking of the deferred shading and the lighting in the game, did anybody have any issues with the lighting? It wasn't every time that I played, but sometimes when I would play, the reflections and the shadows of like the lighting coming through like the trees and stuff would glitch out real bad. It would just be like a seizure. Like it would just sometimes would be flashing.
I didn't see anything like that.
I didn't.
Huh. Well, I didn't know.
Your Xbox going.
No, no. I tested some other games on it to make sure, and I'm using a new connector. So maybe it had something to do with me running it through into an HDMI connection on the TV. I don't know. I didn't try it the normal way, but it wasn't every time, but there was a couple times in a few levels where there was like this weird like flashing going on with the lighting.
Interesting.
So the final level, and I did beat the game. Over the last whatever 2 weeks I did beat the game. There's I think I put about 6 hours of game time into it. I saw on YouTube that some people were completing the game in like 3 hours, so there's I mean, you can sit down and play the game in under 4 hours. But in the final level, and not to spoil anything for anybody, but you've had plenty of years to play this. In the final level, there are a lot of these night enemies that they're shooting fire arrows at you, or they're throwing fire at you, or something, and they gang up on you like 6 at a time, and they're faster than you. So you're bouncing off the walls, you're running through this castle, just trying to collect these things to beat the level, and the whole time you're just getting wrecked by these knights that are shooting fire at you. And that's another problem I noticed is that sometimes this goes through the whole game is that the enemies seem like they team up on you and they're always faster than you. Every single enemy is somehow, I mean, I know Shrek's a big swamp creature, but
Ogre.
yeah, he's a big ogre, but yeah, all the enemies are quicker than you, and I really hate those tiny little wind up toy knights. They're just I just can't stand them. The things they say, the noises they make, how they kind of whine when you pick them up. I absolutely hated them. Speaking of noises and that, I think the music in the game sucks.
Yeah, they definitely didn't use it from the movie.
No, the songs are short and they're repetitive.
Yeah.
And they're really just not that good. It doesn't sound like they're really mastered that great either. Like there's some weird like reverb and echo on some stuff. I don't know. Just it seems like they got to the audio and they were just like, screw it. Let's just throw some stuff in here.
We only got 30 days left.
Yeah, we got 30 days. We need music, is what it seemed like. Other than that, the final battle with Merlin doesn't even feel like a boss fight. You just chase him around in a circle around this room, and you attack him while he's throwing fireballs or casting fireballs at you. And that's pretty much it. It's pretty anticlimactic, and I thought the fight was boring.
That's because they had it done in 10 months.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, it didn't feel like a boss fight. It felt like what I was doing throughout the whole rest of the game, especially the final boss, and it's Merlin, like the most well-known magician of all fairy tales and stories, Merlin.
They thought you'd be distracted by the music.
Yeah, well, I think I'd muted it probably at that point. So there was no sound because there's a lot of like little annoying sound effects. Like we talked about, there's some funny stuff. There are things that people say that are funny. And like M2 had mentioned, there's all kinds of grunting and stuff while you're playing. But there's also some really annoying sound effects as well. And the sound is just the sound itself, the audio is a thumbs down for the entirety of that game for me, aside from some of the dialogue. Although I do like how the game is presented, like you'd mentioned about the book and the storytelling. And what they really did was I read a little bit about them composing the story for it. It comes from, it's an extension of the first movie.
Oh.
So they had just tacked some stuff on and basically come up with a brand new story, because this is after Shrek had reclaimed his swamp. which was the purpose of the entire first Shrek movie, was him getting his swamp back.
Yep.
Yeah.
This was after him reclaiming it?
Yeah.
I thought it was a prequel.
Shrek the prequel. No, it's he already has his swamp back in the game, yeah. So things I do like about it is
You got it cheap.
I paid $5 for it on eBay. So never played it before. I finished the game. There was only one or two times that I thought, like, why am I playing this? Like, and like I mentioned one of them, and I think the other was I just didn't feel like I didn't know if I wanted to finish it or not, but I did. I think if they would have had enough time, if they could have gave it 2 years of development instead of 10 months, we probably could have had a deep. I don't know if I want to say a blockbuster title, because a lot in most cases, movie adaptations or video game adaptations of movies are usually not that good.
Awful.
And that's just, I don't know, it's the curse.
That's the Yui Bowl curse.
Yeah, it's very
the opposite.
Low budget.
yeah, it's very
I guess-
rare.
I was gonna say, I guess the question is this among one of the better movie adaptation games you've played? I mean, because there's standouts like Batman for the Genesis, right? And the NES, that was good.
Yeah.
But then for every one of those, you've got a Batman Begins that was
Or Star
busy.
Trek.
Or Star Trek.
Yeah.
Star Trek.
Yeah.
I'd say it's on the upper scale of some of the better ones, and I think overall, as a game, I'm not going to say that I necessarily like it. I didn't hate it, but I do give it a thumbs up. If you can get it for $5 or less than $10, I would say it's worth a play. And I mean, it's not bad. It's not
children's game.
terrible. I mean, even as an adult playing it, I could see if we put it in the time period that it was released in 2001, right after 9/11, this is what people needed. We needed Shrek to unite us as a country, as a people, as a human race. And they gave it to us and brought us all together.
I mean, it is made for kids, but it's okay for adults. It's got enough humor in it, and and stuff that's okay for adults. But it is made for.
I mean, look at these.
Or less.
Look at these action shots on the back of the case. I know the lighting's kind of bad, but Shrek's blowing up something, flying through the air. Look at him. Look at that face.
Just going up and punching the knights and knocking them down or kicking them. I mean, you could kick or punch anything. It was kind of funny.
I don't know what's going on in this. Oh, that's the egg. That's the Eggman in that last one right there.
Humpty Dumpty.
Yeah, Humpty
I mean,
Dumpty.
it was definitely targeted to children. I mean, that was.
Well, it's nursery rhymes, so yeah.
Well,
I was gonna say, outside of Shrek was the only, I guess, Oddworld World Munch's Odyssey would have been the only other platformer released at launch for the Xbox.
Yeah, Odyssey was.
I pulled up a list of them. It's mostly racing games, fighting games, and sports games, and of course Halo.
Hey John, what's the rating on it, or is that before the rating system?
T for teen.
That's what I mean. It's teen or younger, and
teen with comic mischief and mild violence.
But I still feel like a kid, so I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I give it a thumbs up. It's
Oddworld was interesting. Yeah.
Oddworld.
I liked this one better than I did Oddworld, but they both had burps in them.
I don't know about that. I don't know if I would have that same.
No.
I don't know. I'd have to get back. It's been a long time since I played Oddworld.
Yeah, I'd have to play it again.
Yeah.
We're talking about the first person one, right?
The first one, Abe's Odyssey. Wasn't that the first one?
No.
Oh, it was Munch's Odyssey. It was Munch's Odyssey.
Oh yeah, that's what it was.
It was the one with the pop can on the thing. It was also a T.
I think I'm gonna. No, I think I would go Munch's Odyssey being the better game. It's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, it's got the green can.
Yep. So funny story. I actually never had that game on the Xbox. I actually have it on Mac. So I don't know when it came out for Mac, but that's when I first played it. Yeah, no, I like this game. I liked Munch's Odyssey.
No. That's the only other game that's that type of game that launched among 19 launch titles. There were 2 that were platformery.
I mean, Xbox never produces a lot for children. It's more for teens and adults than anything else. So, which I think they're missing out on a big thing. You wanna target the kids. You get more parents buying your game for their kids than you do adults buying games for themselves.
Yeah, I mean that was the reason we got it, is because I wanted something for Michael to play with us.
Well, yeah, as if M2 wasn't around, would you have purchased Shrek?
50-50, because at that point I used to buy everything, and so I mean I probably still would have bought it.
I mean, it was a post 9/11 world. Shrek is what you needed.
No, I needed NHL hits 2002.
Hey, John, that is you.
Yeah,
I know. Why is his head the same shape as mine?
The
I
Phantom
think
of
you
the
found.
Opera.
I think you found the screenshot.
You know what?
I think you
Next
found the
little league.
screenshot for this podcast.
We are Shrek.
You know what?
Down a little
Next-
bit. There
next
you go.
Halloween,
Yeah.
You need to go and put some green makeup
Yeah,
on.
put some green makeup on. You can go as the combination of Shrek and Hager the Horrible.
I hate that my head's the same shape as his. Which Shrek, the character of Shrek was actually based off of a French pro wrestler. I can't remember the guy's name, so apologies, but he was a pro wrestler from France that looked exactly like Shrek, and that's who the character is actually based off
Not
of.
easy being green.
Well, he wasn't green. The guy he's based off of, but it looks like we all like Shrek.
Yeah.
Me
I
like
M2
Shrek.
Shrek the best.
It is a good Shrek. It's beautiful.
It's not the best Shrek game, though. I can tell you that much.
It is not the best Shrek game. We should have done all the Shrek games.
Shrek
That's a
Bash.
sequel to this, like the Shrek games were.
Yeah. So Shrek.
What were the other ones? Was there a Shrek racing game?
There was.
Shrek
Yep.
2.
There was a Shrek party game. The best game, Shrek 2, is it was a sit down multiplayer game. You could play with 4 people. It was a party game. It was a fun game you could play with a younger sibling. Where this
I never
was,
played that one either. I should probably try to play that one.
yeah,
It
that one's good.
I believe it was released on PC. I wonder if there's some way that we can make a server for that and play it together.
That'd be neat.
I wonder if it's on Steam.
Whatever it's on Steam. I think we had the second one. Oh, the second one was made by Activision.
Second one was real good.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, it has good ratings.
yeah.
It was that
Well-
generation of games that had like
Now you're gonna make me buy
different colors.
You buy another game. Yeah, there you go.
Except from IGN. IGN gave it a 3.9 out of 10.
You know.
It said it resembled Donkey Kong Country.
Oh, okay.
Well, the
yeah.
the Game Boy Advance one did.
Oh,
The Game Boy Advance one's the highest rated out of them.
wow. Oh yeah, I do see the party aspects here. Yep.
Yeah, it's a party game. I mean, it was one of the first real ones to do party game, and then you had like Aragon that did party game. Just a bunch of kind of copycat of that system of having the 4 little ring guys running around.
Yeah.
Real easy to tell who you're supposed to be. I mean, Lego's the most obvious example of that kind of gameplay loop.
Yep.
So TDK was acquired by Take-Two Interactive, resulting in losing the license to make Shrek games. That's how they got screwed over.
Overall, it has better scores than the first Shrek.
They learned. New development team.
Somebody was comparing it to Spider-Man 2, but I think that's just because they were both made by Activision.
What? Geez, why don't we just compare it to Halo?
On this episode of Player Nay, Halo versus
Halo versus Shrek 2.
So you're a green guy running around wreaking havoc on invaders that have come into your
It's the
territory.
same thing.
It's the exact same
plot.
game.
Yeah, I mean, you both have fireballs.
Yeah. Yep. And yeah, you're both trying to reclaim, and there's invaders, and
Yeah,
I mean, all's Master Chief needs is a swamp.
yeah. And gas.
He's in a giant metal suit running around on a planet with no AC. He is the swamp.
We'll say the graphics are much better.
Oh,
Then
this went
Halo?
downhill fast.
Not
guys.
in Halo. I'm talking about Trek 2.
Oh, this went downhill fast.
Can you
I mean,
imagine imagine firing up Halo and the first thing that comes out of Master Chief's mouth after that first scene is "Get out of my swamp."
Or you could burp fire.
or you could burn fire. Well, but you're in that suit.
Just
You're
farts. You just
burping
hear
and
it.
Well,
farting
that's
there.
true.
It's not gonna
He'd
be,
burn himself.
yeah, it's not gonna be very nice if you're in the suit and you're doing all that stuff.
Well, maybe you can come out the other end.
There's some
You'd have to have one of those trap doors in the back.
That's it.
Yeah.
There has to be some sort of. We need to theorize about the waste management system of Master Chief's suit.
It all depends.
I bet it does.
He doesn't have waist because he can't take his helmet off, so he
Yeah,
doesn't
he
eat.
can't take his helmet off. He never takes his helmet off.
Eats, so he
I
never-
saw him take his helmet off in the show.
Well, the show is not canon.
Yeah.
The show
Like-
is about
it's
as
like
good as
Star
the
Trek.
original Shrek game.
What?
I said the show's about as good as the Shrek game.
Hey, see, I'm,
Yeah,
I'm,
it's true.
I'm on it. I like
Almost as good.
so
Yeah, the show's not very good.
you guys did like it. I liked it because I believe in things that are real, not like the game where it's not real.
It's based upon a game what isn't real.
I know, but you would have to take your helmet off. We've been through this.
No, you don't have to take your. It's so Superman
the
can't
way.
fly then.
People don't sleep with a helmet and don't eat with a helmet on.
He does.
No, he does not.
He does.
Well, we
In the game, you only see him in war shots. You never really see him.
No, you see him in downtime. It's
or
called cutscenes.
sleeping or other things. You know.
Oh, they show it's like 20, like TV show 24. It's beginning to end. It's like Jack Bauer's cell phone. It never runs out of power during the whole show. Master Chief doesn't have to go to the bathroom for 24, 48, 72 hours. I mean,
Hey,
it's
guess
all
what?
work.
I could get the Shrek 2 on the Xbox for $12.95.
on eBay.
I don't know what it's on. I just clicked on a picture and it brought up a price. I don't know where it's even getting that from.
Be careful what pictures you click on.
I know. But it says in stock. But I mean, I'm just saying it's probably cheap. I should probably try to get it just to play the second one.
Yeah.
Oh.
No.
He liked the first one so much, he's got to play the second.
Well, I'm a collector anyway. You know.
As I said, Shrek is what we need in our lives.
Shrek is what we need.
Shrek is life.
Shrek. When you have inflation, you can get cheap games like Shrek.
Yes. Extra large, extra funny, extra green. Oh, and extra onions, please.
Extra onions.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
All right. With that was a good exit there.
yeah. On that note, I think we have, for the first time ever, correct? We have 4 thumbs up on Shrek. We all like Shrek.
We all like Shrek.
Some more than others, but
Yeah. It was
Cool.
entertaining.
all right. Well,
I
thank you.
played worse, Shaq Fu.
Thank you.
That
Some
just sucks.
of us actually did play Shaq Fu. So if you like Shrek, if you like onions, and
I'm a believer.
if you like the post 9/11 world that Shrek introduced us to, click the like button or the thumb down button as well. You can click that. M2's here. It's
We'll
fine.
take any likes or hates.
There's no middle finger button.
I wish there was.
I said what I said about Shaq Fu, and if you dislike it, you just don't understand content.
Or lack thereof.
Or lack thereof, yes. So yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. And as we always say here at the Techegy podcast, stay nerdy, my friends, and stay out of my swamp.
Get out of my swamp. Why do I sound like groundskeeper Willie?